The Terran just deciding to go and heal maximum amounts of units. This Marine literally had so many things attacking it at once. He does stim and move in. Can he get any EMPs off on these sentries? We see a lot of low health units, a lot of low health sentries especially, and got to EMP those Immortals and Stalkers, though. His EMP is so good against all those shields. We see one go down, getting a lot of units. And we do see another one getting another nice batch of units. These EMPs could be too strong as this Protoss force is just balled up. Can't really do anything. Is there more EMPs? There is the energy for more EMPs from the Terran. But this Protoss having a much bigger concave, and these upgrades are really kicking in. Can he snipe an Immortal and another Stalker? It looks like he will. Will he get this Immortal? Oh, he leaves it. This is some good control by the Protoss, saving as many units as he can, and just waiting for those reinforcing Zealots to take all the damage. And the Terran has to go home. Will the Medivacs get caught up with? No, I think that the Stalkers do not have Blink yet. I think Blink should be coming soon, but it has not even begun to be researched. I think most of the money from Protoss going into these double upgrades, and this could be a big counter push right now, as Terran has luckily been producing on the back end of that attack, but lost a huge portion of his army. We'll look at the units lost. It's now in favor of the Protoss, but if he forces this attack up this ramp, I think it could go bad, as a lot of these units have taken hull damage, but and the Terran getting those medevacs, saving those 4 medevacs that were over here, and getting those back above his army, definitely going to save him, I think, against any efforts right now by the Protoss. I think Protoss should really be focusing on getting up to his 3rd, as Terran does not have his 3rd yet. In fact, he's going to morph into an orbital before it even goes over here. I think that turned out to be good based upon the fact that this counterattack did come, but I think I would have liked to see it just be built here while he was attacking. Would have been a lot better job by the Terran of Macro, I think, right there. And then obviously just bringing his army over to this ramp. I think you got to kill these rocks pretty early on Entombed Valley here, and then just bring your army back and forth, try to read where they're going to go. And the scan knows exactly what's there. He thinks he can take it. If you're Protoss and you see the Terran moving out towards you after he scans you, you better be scared, because he thinks he can take you. These Charged Zealots going to do a substantial amount of work, because Marauders just don't deal that much damage to Zealots. Only 10 rather than the 20 they deal to everything else. But they're going to be cleaned up, and now these units need to go. Will there be a stim to catch them? There will not be, but those pylons going to go down. I think the units lost going back to favor, just barely favoring the Terran there, but I think this expansion is really going to start kicking in for Protoss. Did he get Colossus Tech up yet? Yes, he did, and the Thermal Lance is not going to be researched. The Protoss base kind of spread out. I really don't like this too much. I would have liked to see more of a block formation that kind of prevents drops, because I think when Terran was over here attacking, he could definitely have lifted up and gone up here. There was one point when the Protoss seemed a little bit afraid of that. He tried to pull back up the ramp, but then Terran just came right back, and we saw that force field and that big slow battle ensue. I think Terran now going to be taking back the lead, never killing these rocks. Kind of a strange option. I think this observer placed very well. Going to see when all the mules coming in, how much will the income spike. Boy, Terran really need to get that 3rd up. He was getting quite behind, I think, as he has a lot less harvesters at this point, and the mules going to even it right back on up. Yes, mules are so good. Yeah, we do see a Colossi. If you didn't hear that, that was a terrible impersonation of a Colossi. Do not ask me to do my Colossi for you ever again, as I have just recently discovered that it's terrible. Alright, getting back into the game, we see this Zealot just kind of placed where he won't see anything. Boy, it's kind of weird. You would think that a unit, getting down to his level, you'd think he'd be able to see a little farther into the horizon there, especially with a great big looming army. That blotting out the sun probably are these medevacs, but and that Zealot going to be able to report back home that there is indeed a huge Terran army. We see some wasted Chrono Boost. Will another Colossus begin production? No. We do see 2, though. I think the Chrono Boost being saved up for the Thermal Lance, which is a good decision. We see another Robo coming down, so we could be committing to the Immortal Colossi play, which I'd like to see, as there has been no Vikings out of Terran yet. It's been a lot of Medivacs. However, this many Medivacs is going to be hard to break no matter what you have as Protoss. I think he needs to be getting up some Templar to storm and feedback some of these, especially these Thors could be feedbacked, and then a lot of these Medivacs, if they loaded up or if they were retreating, I think it'd be great to try to catch that up. Also, got to get Blink, I think, by this point in the game. If you're Protoss, try to obviously Blink Micro back during a battle, but then especially if you do beat back the Terran, you can actually catch up and pick off his remaining units. Terran, I think, should be getting out and scouting this map, but he's just holding the tower and being content to do that. This Marine's like, haha, suckers, I got the good job. You guys have fun going in and sacrificing yourselves, trying to bust up that ramp of Protoss laser beam death, which the Protoss army is starting to catch up and look pretty threatening now. We do have some splash damage, finally. Do we have a Templar Archives coming down? We do not yet, but we do see maximum Colossi production. Oh, excuse me, that's an Immortal. Well, the Immortals do hold up so well against these Marauder Thor force. They just do not die very quickly. Protoss going to go ahead and choose to engage, it looks like. I don't know. This Terran force looks quite big. We're getting very close to maxed right now. And there are no storms even. These force fields hurting these charge zealots more than they're helping. I don't know about those force fields. I would just Guardian Shield. Protoss, where is the Guardian Shield? I think a lot of Protosses see those fancy force fields and want to do it in this battle now. It looks like the laser beams from the Colossi going to do maximum damage as Terran needs to get in a little bit closer so those Thors are in range of things. We did see these Immortals running low on health. Will they get taken down? Yeah, a couple of Immortals die. Protoss going to have to retreat. I think there's just too many Medivacs to break with only too few Colossi. These Colossi being microed so well, and doing maximum damage to these Marauders, but there's just too much healing, too much losing of the Stalkers and Immortals, as they do not fare very well. And oh no, one single Viking. Is there an answer? There's some Stalkers, but they don't have Blink. This Viking going to sit up there and deal so much pain. Well, this is a great engagement for Protoss until this army regroups. Nice little pullback there by Terran, but these Medivacs going to help these units last forever. My goodness, the Colossi are going to retreat. Terran is going to run in now and be able to clean up all of these Colossi. So valuable. Still fairly equal in the units lost, surprisingly, but I think when these Colossi go down, this will be a huge tide turner in this game. Massive charge lot warp in will probably save him, though. These Thors getting low on health. No SCVs or mules. Oh, and a nice lift up by the Terran. We see lifting up the Thors to escape, and there's no Blink, and there are no Stalkers even. I don't really understand what... Viking, did you just get really brave, Viking? Oh. Now this, I think, always looks extremely funny to see Thors folded up and being carried by a medevac. I think by the laws of aerodynamics, it's something like a it's something like a fly carrying like a baby kitten or something like it. This is not going to work. I don't know if that picture is wrong in anyone else's mind. Meanwhile, we see the fourth base going down here for last chance in the bottom left corner. I really like how he's doing this because leaving his third wide open to be taken anytime, and if Terran is not going to go ahead and scout, he can really end up at a disadvantage when he realizes that Protoss has mined out these areas. Protoss definitely, I think, has had more income over the course of the game. There's been times when Terran has called down a big round of mules, obviously when the rate is the same, but I think that Terran getting mined out. He's completely mined out his main except for one geyser, and really needs to be getting up another base now. He's been macroing and engaging quite well and getting the better end, I think, of every engagement. But now the upgrades and the income from the Protoss are really going to turn it in his favor if Terran does not make a move soon. We finally see a medevac scheduled to scout everywhere. It is empty, though. I'd like to see it carry a few units in case he does find something. He could drop down and take it. I mean, it's not a warp prism where you can just make units with it. He definitely needed to have something in there. Just, I think, you know, especially the way these cannons are, it's just going to be sacrificing a medevac, which I personally I'd rather fly around a Viking or even just send down a couple of bio units and do that. But this Zealot, he took the tower, but that is to be short-lived and not even going to be able to kill the Marine there with the medevac healing. We do see a nice probe transfer on a nice path here where the Terran is likely not to see it, holding this middle tower. Usually if they come around this front, they get in vision of that tower, but I really like the pathing there that the Protoss did. Finally adding on some High Templar from Last Chance. He's like, alright, this Templar man, he's going to be my hero. I'm just going to make one. But he is going to land the perfect storm. Which I don't really think a storm's going to be too deadly against this army with all these medevacs. I think a lot of feedbacks would be a lot better against these Thors and the medevacs there. Although these Marauders and the Vikings could be stormed. I think I'd like to see a switch to storm because I think in the production tab, yeah, we see Vikings being produced, and there's a large number of Vikings. If we look in the unit tab, there are 6 Vikings. Those are going to snipe those Colossi very quickly. We do see almost 333 upgrades, though, going into this, and the Vikings don't have any upgrades. So the Colossi are going to deal their dirty work before the Vikings can deal with them. All right, here we go. Charge Zealots running in, absorbing a lot of the damage, but oh no, the pullback. Just losing some Zealots, and the Vikings dealing massive damage to these Colossi. These retreating Colossi are in the orange, in the red. They're going to go down. He's trying to pull back and get to the high ground. This is a good engagement. I think Terran should probably be stimming and going up here as he has the medevacs to support any amount of stims, really. But I think at this point, they've outstormed. These Colossi are just going to attack too slow. And the Vikings are going to just evaporate these Colossi. Looking at this, there's so many units still underneath here, underneath these medevacs. These Marauders and Ghosts just do not die. We see the Thors dealing huge damage and the Colossi completely taken out of the battle. There's no Storm ready. Storm, where are you? You are not even half done. See some Stalkers being warped in at a completely arbitrary random location where they can't do anything. Maybe they were here. I don't really know how these Stalkers, what are they doing out here? They could have been at least killing these reinforcements, but it looks like at this point these Stalkers are now just going to suicide themselves into these Marauders and Thors. Oh no, goodness, Terran looking like he has a huge advantage. Getting up his 4th base, he did indeed spot these with the medevac, but that didn't even matter as his army was far superior than the Protoss's, which goes to show that a 3-basing Terran can beat a 4-basing Protoss. I think definitely the deciding in this game was the composition from the Terran and the timings of his engagements. The addition of the Vikings and the EMPs really doing huge damage to those Stalkers.